A major shift in the police approach to dealing with accidents. Support in the Senate for the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiations and Agreements Bill. The Agriculture Minister meets with some rural farmers about plans to take agriculture forward.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. The Barbados Police Service is about to implement a major change regarding its response to vehicular accidents. From mid-September, lawmen will only be responding to and investigating road traffic fatalities and accidents resulting in serious injuries or death. Our Anesta Henry has more details.
As of September 15th, police will only be responding to and investigating serious road accidents and fatalities. The new arrangement is being endorsed by insurance companies, which have agreed that their response officers will report to fender benders and accidents resulting in non-injury and slight injuries. Details of this new approach have been outlined in the recently developed road traffic investigation policy. Addressing a press conference, Attorney General Machel says he is throwing his full support behind the initiative, which the police have decided to embark on in an effort to efficiently utilize limited police resources. He says this is necessary so officers can spend additional time attending to more serious offenses instead of 70,000 man-hours on average annually dealing with road accidents.
It represents a complete transformation from what we are accustomed to, but it is a transformation that I think is in the best interest of the society. If we have police officers standing, dealing with a fender bender, and we all see them, a bumper get a little dent, traffic block up, people stand up waiting for the police to come. And then people who have more serious issues want to know, well, why the police take so long to get here?
And to ensure the standard of investigations into vehicular accidents remains at a certain level, the service has provided special training for response officers from the insurance companies. Police Commissioner Richard Boyce says the service is prepared to walk with members of the public through the process.
Yes, it would be an educational period for members of the public and also for the police. But the main thing is to understand the reason and the purpose for why we are doing it and what we're hoping to achieve.
President of the General Insurance Association of Barbados, Randy Graham, says the insurance sector applauds the Commissioner of Police for making such a difficult decision.
7,000 accidents a year. The insurance companies pay out between $85 and $90 million to clients for vehicular accidents every year. 90% of those accidents do not require a police report.
Police Public Relations Officer, Acting Inspector Rodney Innes, is making it clear there will be circumstances when police will be required to respond to accident scenes.
If there's a breach of the peace at the scene, if the drivers do not do as what is required by the law, exchange their information, if you have persons who are maybe under the influence or misbehaving themselves and there's a need for the police to respond, they will. If the scene is blocked because, let's say, it's an overturned vehicle or a spill of bricks or something like that, police will only respond to deal with the obstruction at that scene.
Police investigate an average of 7,500 accidents each year, 71% of which are damage-only accidents. Approximately 4% of accidents involve serious injuries and 0.1 are fatalities. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
A St. James woman is dead tonight after the motorcycle on which she was the pillion rider collided with a police vehicle. That accident occurred along Welch's Road in Christchurch earlier this afternoon. According to Police Communications and Public Affairs Officer Inspector Rodney Innes, the deceased woman has been identified as 22-year-old Tashana Jamelia Ward of Husbands.
They involve a motorcyclist ridden by a male with a pillion rider, female pillion rider who is now deceased, obviously on the rear of the motorbike. They became involved in a collision with another vehicle owned by the Barbados Police Service along Welch's Road here in Christchurch. Now, the circumstances are still very much under investigation, but sadly what we can say is one person, that female, the pillion rider, obviously the rider lost control and collided on the sidewalk, and she died. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The rider himself sustained some pretty serious injuries, and he was transported to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital by ambulance. We are yet to check on the outcome of his injuries as we speak.
Inspector Innes says grieving family members of the deceased woman identified her body at the scene. The roadway was closed, affecting traffic going into and out of Oistins, forcing motorists to use alternate routes. Well, government senators have signalled their approval for the Criminal Justice Plea Negotiations and Agreements Bill. The legislation was introduced in a bid to increase the speed at which criminal cases move through the justice system. Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman, in leading off debate in the Upper House, says the justice system must be more efficient. He says such legislation is not only being adopted by Barbados.
We can start with the Bahamas, we can look at Belize, we can look at Jamaica, we can look at Trinidad and Tobago. Now, part and parcel of the process, it therefore allows for there not to be a need for a full criminal trial. That saves the court time. That saves the court resources, and it allows for the court really to get on with other important business. Of course, criminal matters of all kinds are important, but you then free up the resources to be able to treat to other things before it. And therefore, moving matters through that system quickly is of significant and great import.
Government Senator John King rose in support of the bill, noting the legislation is long overdue.
This is another layer of giving persons the best possible chance at justice and mitigation and all the other things that go along with it. So I won't take up a lot of time, but suffice it to say that this particular measure has my full support, and as the other pieces of legislation that we've dealt with, whistleblowers and all the other things come into play, this is just another layer, and I believe, as was mentioned by Senator Boyce, that we do things piece by piece, and the other things that are needed to be looked at, I am sure that government is actively looking at those things.
Independent Senator Kevin Boyce says the bill is part of the legislative reform. He says the concept of plea bargaining works and can be used in the fight against crime.
Plea bargaining is a recognized tool in the toolkit of dealing with criminal matters. Practically speaking, if done properly and adequately resourced, because again, it comes to the resourcing, staffing, sophistication, experience, and ability to get these things done. The concept is if I can free up my prosecutors and my judges by having deals done with certain elements, I can then allow them to go after the more sophisticated criminals.
The former First Lady of Mozambique and South Africa, Dame Graca Machel, is in Barbados. She touched down at the Grantley Adams International Airport this afternoon. It was a special moment as the African stateswoman, educator and humanitarian was met this afternoon by a number of government officials. Those included Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Technological and Vocational Training, Sandra Husbands, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Joyanne Skinner, among others. Mrs. Machel was later escorted to the Grace Adams suite by the welcome party, where she held informal discussions with Minister Husbands and those other officials. Dame Machel's visit coincides with the season of emancipation. While here, she will visit the Barbados Museum and Historical Society, where she will participate in a Barbados-Africa Connections activity and meet with South Africans living here. She will also visit historic Bridgetown and its garrison, the Emancipation Statue, Rock Hall Freedom Village, and Golden Square Freedom Park. Dame Graca's visit concludes on the 26th of August. We'll take a break here, but coming up, the Agriculture Ministry is seeking to elevate farming in rural communities. The Minister of Agriculture, Food and Nutritional Security has met with the farmers in St. Andrew with the aim of taking the farming community in that rural parish forward. Minister Indar Ware, flanked by senior agricultural officials, along with the MP for St. Andrew, Dr. Rommel Springer, engaged with the farmers during a meeting held at the Allen School last evening. The minister acknowledged that there are a number of outstanding issues for which solutions must be sought. He reiterated government's support for the farming community and signaled his commitment to setting up a St. Andrew cooperative.
The support that the ministry gives to the farming communities across Barbados is in terms of technical support. Technical support meaning that if you have a problem with pests or you have a problem with plants and germination and stuff like that, we have a department at the ministry that deals with that. And Mr. James can speak more to the role of the plant pathology department. If you have problems with animals, we have the veterinary services that can deal with that. If you need support on land, especially in the Scotland district, we have the soil conservation unit that would provide that support, and they also do plants that you are able to purchase.
Minister Ware says farming is being utilized as a means of enfranchising citizens as government cannot provide all the jobs Barbadians require. He notes with the challenges brought to open field agriculture owing to climate change, officials are facilitating greenhouse and freight farming as options for those who want to move to the next level.
In order to move to the next level, I cannot encourage people to believe that if you want a freight farm, the government must give it to you. That is not how it is done, because if you want a car, you go and purchase the car, and if you want a taxi, you apply for a permit and you pay for that permit. What the government is responsible for is to make sure you have access to either funding or to the greenhouses or the freight farms.
Acting Chief Agriculture Officer Machel James has reminded farmers of the importance of sharing information with the Ministry of Agriculture. He says the information is important, especially for those wanting to import certain commodities.
So if you don't know what is planted, how many is being produced, when persons want to import and we look and see, and persons say, well, there's nothing in Barbados, we can't get this, we can't get that, and we don't have the information, then you want to cuss us. But when we ask persons, let us know if you plant 3 acres of onions, let me know. So it's not only about providing information to us because you're getting rebates and other things out of the rebate structure, but it's also a win-win. So this is something I would like to cultivate, that we have a closer relationship.
The Department of Emergency Management is adopting a hands-on approach in getting the message of disaster preparedness out to young Barbadians. Through its summer youth event, High Winds, Rough Seas, it will be exposing youth to literature and information that Program Officer Simon Allen says could be life-saving. That event is slated for August the 30th at Queen's Park in Bridgetown. Mr. Allen was a guest on Morning Barbados.
We want to encourage young people to come out, have fun, but also get the relevant information about disaster preparedness. I think that since we've had that brush, as people call it, the brush with Beryl, I want Barbadians to understand that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the next system, the next hurricane or tropical storm can impact Barbados. But beyond hurricanes and tropical storms, you know, the approach from DEM is about comprehensive disaster management, where we look at multiple hazards and we also make sure that we share information about these hazards, whether it's earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, all those things we share information on.
Mr. Allen says the DEM is excelling more at its public awareness activities.
It's important that we go out there, and up to last week we were at Q in the community, and we had a big display there, and persons, the elderly folks, or should I say the seniors, that's the right word, the seniors, you know, they engaged us in conversations about how the bad weather would have treated them over the years, and the way how things are now, and the fact that, you know, it's good to know that there's information available about not only the hurricane shelters, but also the things that they need to have in their homes, and also the vulnerable persons list, and so on. So I think that what is happening now with disaster management is that we are taking the all sectors approach, and we are taking the information on the road and reaching out to people. For the launch of the hurricane season, we were in Queen's Park as well, and the engagement for the whole day, so many people passed through Queen's Park.
There has been an overwhelming response to sign language courses being offered by the National Disabilities Unit. Over 120 people have already registered. Director John Hollingsworth is pleased that Barbadians are keen on learning the language and helping his unit's continued efforts at promoting inclusion for people with disabilities. The National Disabilities Unit is now searching for additional venues to conduct the courses, which will start next month and be done at the basic, 1, 2, and intermediate levels. The sign language program will run from September the 16th to December the 5th. That's right, it's time now for Sports Night, and joining us with all the action is Anne-Marie Burke. Anne-Marie, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson. I begin with news of the West Indies. As the men in maroon gear for their first T20 international against the Torrens of Africans, coach Darren Sammy says his eyes are also on the next ICC World Cup. Zachary Carter took 3 wickets to pull Barbados back into a dominant position against Guyana on day 1 of the 3rd round of the 2024 West Indies Rising Stars Men's Under-17 two-day championship. Playing at Gilbert Park in Trinidad, Carter so far has 3 for 20 as the young Guyanese closed the day on 49 for 5, chasing first in his target of 189. They're 139 runs behind with 5 wickets in hand. Earlier, after being sent into bat, the young Bajans were bowled out for 188. Kevion Newton top scored with 37. Barbados dominated the finals of the Senior Caribbean Squash Association's men's and women's competitions last evening in Guyana. Top Barbados men's player Kamal Kamabach retained his title when he defeated Julian Jervis from the Cayman Islands at 3-0 at 13-11, 11-9, 11-5. In the ladies' final, Margot Prow faced off against Guyanese Mary Fungafat, and Prow also repeated as champion with a dominant 3-0 performance at 11-6, 11-2, 11-7. There was another medal for Barbados in the women's 3rd place playoff as Amanda Hayward got by Guyana's Ashley Khalil at 3-2, 11-9, 9-11, 13-11, 9-11, 11-6. Well, Pearson, that's my first look at sports. When I come back, there's so much more action from my side of the twirl.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Anne-Marie. We'll take a break here. We're coming back with tonight's Business Report. In business tonight, budgeting and spending wisely were among the areas of advice given to interns at a student attachment at Goddard's Enterprises Limited. The mostly 16-year-olds of the Parkinson Memorial School heard presentations from the company's Chief Executive Officer, Natasha Small, as well as Chief Financial Officer Natasha Small and Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director Anthony Alley during their summer attachment. The CEO told them while training could help with skills, it could not motivate a person, so the understanding issue was related to the source of their motivation. He said motivation came from internal passion and drive, and advised the young people to start to think about their future careers, paying attention to what they were passionate about. He also gave them a peek into his life story and illustrated how hard work and dedication, sacrifice and drive paid off. Goddard Enterprises Limited is a publicly traded Barbadian company listed on the Barbados Stock Exchange. The launch of the e-wallet for credit unions has been seen as a game changer in the financial landscape of Barbados and the Caribbean. That's how it's being described by officials in that sector. Trevor Thorpe reports.
President of the Caribbean Confederation of Credit Unions, Hallie Haynes, says the e-wallet falls in line with their mandate to bring affordable digital solutions to members.
What this wallet offers is the ability for everybody to participate in the ecosystem. And this launch of the Venti mobile wallet offers ordinary people, the coconut vendor, the taxi driver, who may have challenges operating in the traditional financial space. They have now the opportunity to to receive payments and to send payments using the mobile wallet. So this is really transformation, and this is something that we at the league for the last couple of years we've been championing for about financial inclusion, but providing affordable products and services, digital products and services to our members.
President of the Barbados Cooperative and Credit Union League Limited, Kemar Cumberbatch, says it fits in well with their development plans and the digital platforms recently introduced by the Central Bank of Barbados.
Well, we think that it fits and aligns perfectly with what the governor and the central bank, they're hoping to achieve. At the end of the day, we need to be able to not just provide financial solutions to our members, but for them to be able to move their money in a much easier and a simpler way. So, for example, you can be going to the hairdresser or to any service provider, and instead of having to walk around with cash or your wallet, you can simply take your smartphone out and be able to do the transaction there and then.
He adds that despite the move to e-wallets, no one will be left behind.
Our offices are still going to be open. Of course, access to our ATMs will still be there, and they still have the ability to do online transactions. So we are still offering our usual suite of services. So we are not in any way moving away from in-branch transactions. We're still going to have our branches open at the regular hours, still our ATMs with 24-hour access. Those with cards will still be able to do transactions with cards 24/7, no matter where they are. This is just us providing another option to make life easier for those persons who are so inclined.
Venti Global provides the technical platform for the digital wallet. Co-founder and chairman Keith Downer says the operation offers the capability to move funds quickly and efficiently. The e-wallet will become fully operational by the beginning of September. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
All right, time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Victon Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with 1,708,359 units was the volume leader, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited and Grace Kennedy Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 234,921 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $834,872.70, and they were followed by Guardian Holdings Limited. And here in Barbados, Epley Caribbean Property Fund Value Fund was the volume leader, trading 23,408 shares at Barbados 50 cents each, and they were followed by the Insurance Corporation of Barbados Limited and Emera Deposit Receipt.
Time for the second half in sports. Once again, here's Anne-Marie Burke.
Yes, person. Now, Team Barbados is back from the 2024 edition of the Caribbean Schools Boxing Championships with all the members sporting medals. CBC's Mark Seal reports.
The team returned from the Winfield Brathwaite Caribbean Schoolboys and Schoolgirls Boxing Championship in Guyana, with all three athletes medaling in their respective categories, securing 2 gold and a bronze. Coach and team manager Frederick Field was extremely pleased with the team's performance, knowing how hard they prepared.
I couldn't be more proud of the whole team. You know, we were up against the whole of Caribbean, and many teams had 20 members, 15 members. We only had 3 members, but yet we were still able to secure 2 golds and a bronze, and I think that's tremendous. These guys train every day, actually. You know, their preparations comprise of running and skipping and physicals training, like strength training and all that, and still their boxing training that they do at the gym every day.
He noted that this tournament is a stepping stone for the younger athletes who would like to be at the Olympics one day.
This tournament was started in 2016. It's the innovation of the Guyana Boxing Association and the government of Guyana. It's what we like to call the foundation to the Olympics, or the Caribbean Olympics, because it's mainly based and structured around the young people that are now coming into the sports, the schoolboys and girls, the juniors and the youth.
Both Ashan Miller and Jaquan Grant got gold in the 80 kg junior and 66 kg junior events respectively, while Kai Reed got bronze in the 80+ kilogram category. Caribbean champion in the 66 kg junior, Jaquan Grant, says his hard training paid off and he is still on cloud 9 after winning that gold.
I would have trained hard, knowing that going there wouldn't be easy. The competition wouldn't be easy. I was training very hard. Coming back for gold medal representing the country, it felt really good. I felt really proud of myself. I just felt proud.
Grant said the skill of boxing was passed down to him from his grandfather, who he grew up watching, and he's quite certain that he will pursue boxing full-time.
Well, I've always found the sport interesting because growing up I've watched my father box, grandfather, my uncle and my aunt. It's obviously interesting to me, so then I picked it up and well, I fell in love with the sport.
The Boxing Association will now be preparing for the regional Ronald Wilson Memorial, which will be a 2-day event held at the Queen's Park Steel Shed here in Barbados.
Oh yes, we have the Ronald Wilson, our own competition right here next week on the 23rd and the 24th, it'll be Friday and Saturday. And that's going to comprise about 4 visiting countries along with Barbados.
Mark Seal, CBC Sports.
Now, last night we reported on the women's fitness competition from the recently held National Bodybuilding and Fitness Championships at the Wildy Gym. Tonight, we take a look at the men. Let the men now flex their muscles, starting with the lone junior physique competitor, Hakeem Noel. Formula Body Tuning Center is his home gym, and I'm sure they're proud of what they have produced. Look at that definition. For sure, the future of the sport is in good hands. Noel then stepped up into the men's physique short class among some of the more seasoned athletes like Sean Springer and Julian Belgrave. We can agree that the men have been hitting those weights and toning those bodies. What a beautiful sight. Look at those biceps and triceps. And interestingly, Noel will beat out the men who are shareholders of the sport. He was the youngest, but he was the best. A second title claimed. Here's your men's physique champion adding to the junior title. It was a field of 4 from left to right: Carl Harewood, Bukaya Providence, Cole Yates, and Tara Ford in the men's physique tall class. We are looking for overall full muscularity, balance, a lean, fit physique with some good symmetry in both muscularity and conditioning. So let's see that front spread and then the side chest pose. Oh, yes. But the man that captured the title was Bukaya Providence, and you could see just why. He ticked all the boxes for the criteria to be a national champion. Now it's all about symmetry as these 4 men pose off for the men's classic physique title. They're Khalil Marshall, Dadrian Holder, Gerard Mason, and Kurt Bevell, all flexing their muscles to get the nod for that top prize. He was unbeatable last year, and he came back this year to do the same. Gerard Mason came from the east to conquer at the Wildy Gym. The Extreme Body Mechanics Gym can boast again of producing a national champion in the classic physique, and we can see why he is worthy of the title. And I must make mention of our national champion in the physique masters category, Julian Belgrave, who, though beaten out in the standard physique by the youngest competitor, he came into his age category and conquered. And let's take in the bodybuilding, where the only junior competitor was Timon Howard. And let's admit, the youngster showed good form. Biceps and triceps rock solid. Let's see that chest spread. The hard work paid off. That's a window into the future of bodybuilding. And on the other end of things, it was good to see some veterans grace the stage. These are your masters. From left to right: Joe Bourne, Kurt Bevell, Roger Streets, and Curtis Kirby. The old boys still have it. Let's dig deep for the perfect side pose. And we really have a showdown on our hands. And the turn for the back double biceps pose. They had the crowd eating out of their hands. And if you want to know who your winner was, he is front and center. Roger Streets, claiming yet another national bodybuilding title, and it's under his belt. And that's it for sports. Back over to you, Pearson.
Anne-Marie, thank you. Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. By God's will, we will see you tomorrow.